Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2. Let me introduce to you in the red, the bottom right aggressive, the Zerg player standing in the way of pretty much all the best, and proving he's better than most of the rest. I give you Solar, the stopping block. And his challenger for this North American Cup title, of course. We'll divide up the spoils with the mysterious MaxPax. Europe versus Korea. We meet in North America. The battle will be fought a best of 5 PvZ. If you want to see Protoss have a shot to take it home, or Zerg to continue to overrun them, as seems to be a relatively regular trend. Well, either way, whichever side you're on, or maybe just standing back and enjoying, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe. And Jimmy, how? What? 1,098. If we get 1,098, we're getting that number going up every single day, but slowly and surely. Like, hopefully, your enjoyment. But at 1,098 likes, I'll cast another series, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get a little bit better than the life of these adepts that, 6 Zerglings, no drones. Oracle on the way. We're off to a relatively standard start, as the Moracle's in production. MaxPax subscribing to, still the no Twilight counts. That's the summary. I was gonna do a whole spiel about how MaxPax does all these other things. No Twilight. If there was ever a Protoss who favored the Twilight, it's the Twilight toss. But the Stargate is just such a stable option. It has the best chance of both scouting and defending any sort of wide variety of creative Zerg all-ins. And there's a reason why it's considered the standard. Also, if your opponent doesn't have a Spore Crawler in a timely manner, you can find yourself with a lot of drone kills. Solar has it in a relatively timely manner. He'll get 4 drone kills. Not bad. Not great. Not terrible. The Triumvirate has completed 3 Oracles. I'm a big fan of keeping 1 back and then 2 out on the map to be able to burn through. Just cover all your bases, literally and figuratively. Mostly literally, actually. Twilight and Forge behind. Lair. Quite a quick lair for Solar. Did MaxPax spot it? He didn't. I think right after that Oracle left is when Solar started it up. Interested to see. Oh no, Spore at the natural. 5 more drones will be melted. Though an Oracle brought up. Oof, gets 1. A lot of Zerglings headed across the map. I'm not sure what the intent is. He doesn't have Overlord speed. Is this a Nidus? The Oracle's still in position to deal with it. Nidus is on the way. Solar not having it in game number 1. He just wants to bust his way through and not let MaxPax get settled. MaxPax is at 52 probes. He's continuing to build them. He's spotted the lair, if I'm not... No! He didn't actually see it. And this is a 1 gas. He saw pretty much everything else. Well, okay, well, yeah, if he didn't know before, he definitely knows now. Cannon's on the way. Cannon, shield battery in the main. The shield battery at the natural. Oracle's trying to protect the Stalkers, doing a good enough job so far. Gets a couple Stalkers, but loses the brunt of his Zerglings. Into the main. Those 2 Adepts saving the day. Yes, they couldn't save themselves, but the knowledge they gained is absolutely imperative here for MaxPax. Without it, there's a very good chance the sheer amount of Zerglings and any amount of Nidus getting into the base could have been deadly, or at least critically damaging. But no Nidus in the main. A bunch of Zerglings already slaughtered. Well, now we have to see. Solar coming in from the front. We've arrived! The Queens are here. Didn't even lay down a creep tumor. Okay, got 1. To be able to bring them up. Without transfuse, it's going to be very difficult to keep them intact. But goes for the Oracle. Shield battery overcharge up just in time. What a tucked-in position here. But even with shield battery overcharge, it's not looking like enough. Susan, back off! Back to the creep! Oh, another Nidus into the main. Popping out. The Zergling's coming out first, but it's far too late to deal with the Nidus itself. The probes are pulled. Shield battery overcharge clearly on cooldown. Void Ray in production. +1 attack about to complete alongside Blink for the Stalkers, assuming it doesn't get sniped off here. The probes fighting the Nidus! Solo! Needs to transfuse that Nidus. Well, he transfuses some of the queens here. 12 probes down. Solar starting to do real damage, and by starting, I mean he's got an entire Royal Convention in the main. As he rips down the gateways themselves, there's almost no production left. There's only 2 gates in an unpowered Stargate here for MaxPax, but the Queen's stumbling off a creep. Get back here, Lucille. What are you doing? Shut up, Beth. I've heard enough. I've heard enough from you. All right, we're working on it. It's a slow process. Have you seen Nidus All-Ins before? Solar with plenty of queen. He has it. MaxPax still has 53 probes. The reason we're not acting like this game is about to end because it isn't. Both players are still making workers, despite the queens taking up residence, claiming the main base for themselves. A very imperial method of claiming things here, but the queens trying to get some creep tumors in there. The Nexus itself. Yo, whoa, whoa, whoa! The Zerglings get the Nexus. Get back in, one at a time! Where's Karen? And nobody liked her anyway. Well, that's certainly the Forge. And a pylon survive. Which is... Alright, well. MaxPax gonna make use of what he has. Honestly, 130 Zerglings later. I think Solar did enough damage to justify the all-in. He only lost 4 queens, but MaxPax still, he lost 14 probes. He still has a worker lead. He has to rebuild a lot of his infrastructure and a Nexus of all things. But that's relatively cheap compared to the cost it would take to replace those probes. Assuming he lost a lot more of them. The Stalkers, he kept a critical mass. He only lost 7 Stalkers throughout this game. Currently has 22 Stalkers with +1 attack. Going on +1 Carapace. Nope, not Carapace. Armor from that Forge in the main. Same effect. The Zergling confirms yes, those are still cannons. At the 4th base there. MaxPax is... okay, well, I'm not sure if getting into the base. Is he... well, that's a good old-fashioned way of getting into things. Well, gonna go for the Forge. There are no upgrades on the Zerglings. That's not gonna work out. Well, he's distracted by the Stalkers at the front. The Queen's once again called into the fray. Zerglings will escape, but the Blink Stalkers... shaving off a few more units. MaxPax with some beautiful micro thus far. Wow, incredible Blink micro. Right up until he lost like 3 Stalkers immediately. And here come the Roaches. Is it too much? The Oracle lights up, but there's not enough energy to care. And Solar. MaxPax trying to get cute. Dancing around on the edge of the creep. Gets his legs swept out from under him by the Roaches and the Zerglings. The Queens will angrily press back as well. Nidus back into the main. Let's queue up round 2. Even though the first round felt like 3 or 4, but... well, Solar, a whole lot of Roach Ravager. And a Nidus into the main yet again. At some point, MaxPax might want to just quarantine it. Trying to go for the Overseer. More Queens popping out. The problem is mounting. Corrosive Biles. MaxPax not really respecting the attack of the main. Warping and Zealots. And honestly, with the Zealots and +1/+1, it's no upgrades at all for Solar. Just the sheer brute force, the biomass of the Roach Ravager here. The critical mass of units might be enough to break through. MaxPax comes back. Shield battery overcharge, actually a little awkwardly timed. Ran out just as another wave of the Roach Ravager came in. More Queens. Nidus taken down. MaxPax to the natural. Trying to file out his non-existent door. has to blink back and forth over the top. The Roach Ravager not known for the agility themselves as they stumble over each other to try to hit the Nexus, but there's just so many of them. Solar's only at 61 drones behind this. It's gonna have to be an incredibly... he's making more Zerglings, but the Stalker count... I'm flip-flopping back and forth on who I think is winning this, which is a sign of a great game, but also how convoluted. Another queen pops out, a single queen, to deal with the Oracle. Meanwhile, the Roach Ravager just continually being replaced. Zerglings coming through the Nidus and just rallying across the map. I don't know, he has a couple bases rallied to the Nidus, and a couple just rallied across the map. Kind of going back and forth with it. MaxPax down to 100 supply. Loses 13 more probes. A meaningful number here. He can't seem to keep enough of those gateway units alive. Corrosive Bile ends up melting some of Solar's face. Everyone's getting hit by it here. Another round of Corrosive Bile going for the Cyber Core. That means no more batteries. That means no more Stalkers. And MaxPax has been relying on it. He has to rebuild the Cyber Core. Now, some High Templar being warped in. He got Storm. That's a bit optimistic, but MaxPax, he kept building probes instead of focusing on building up his army supply. And now Solar is just bludgeoning him. It is +2/+1. The upgrade, rarely do we see this much of an upgrade disparity in Protoss versus Zerg, especially with these sort of armies. Is the bait, finally the Zerglings will kill it. Archon's at the front. Killing the Cyber Core actually gives MaxPax a little bit more room to maneuver, instead of going through a single file hallway like it's a high school between class right now. MaxPax somehow holds yet again. Well, not somehow. He has a whole lot of Blink Stalkers. He has a shield batteries, and he has a great upgrade advantage. Solar on the open field will run him over. But MaxPax is able to retreat with his backup against the batteries. He's able to hold the line for now. We calm down for a moment, but Solar is maxed out 66 drones, which is Roach Ravager economy. That is full 3 base saturation, 22 drones a base, 16 mineral, 6 on gas. Though his bases are a bit spread out. He's got a 4th and a 5th. Storm is ready and washes over the Roaches. And now still a few Temper on the back line. Surprise, we haven't seen any more Storm yet. Another Nexus. This one is just canceled. The Zealots jumping into the fray. +3 attack is on the way. +1 ranged here. Storms melting into the Ravagers. They don't have too much HP to weather it. Another Storm. Corrosive Bile. Splash damage must be dodged on both sides, but almost impossible to do so reliably. Another Storm. More damage coming through. Archon goes down. There's nothing left on the Storm tanks here, which is like the weirdest way I've ever described that, but the Archons are taken out as well. And Solar has doubled the supply. He's knocking on the door yet again. The non-existent one, I might repeat. But the Zealots are fighting through the morphing Banelings in order to chase down the Ravagers. And then they will give their lives on the ball. Baneling speed is done. He's rolling into the Stalkers. They blink out of the fray. MaxPax comes back for more. And Solar is not able to break through. This is... Rarely do we see fights quite like this. These unit compositions are not foreign to anyone. But the state of the game, with Solar having such a massive... Rarely... Even Protoss gateway units, they don't usually find this level of success. But this level of success is partially because MaxPax has outright refused to, or really not had the space to go for a Robo, for any more advanced Stargate units than a handful of Oracles. He's stuck on Archons, Stalkers, and Zealots. And, well, they've gotten him out of an even stickier situation so far, so... +3, +1 against just +1 ranged attack. Let's see if quality truly outdoes quantity. As Solar comes in for round, I've stopped counting a while ago. I ran out of fingers and toes. Solar, autumn-colored roaches. Another couple storms. could melt them away. If he loses a critical mass of roaches, that's when MaxPax might be able to just hop, skip, and blink his way across the map. But so far, Solar just maintaining 200 supply and MaxPax maintaining his existence in this game. +3 is done. MaxPax down to 50 probes, and he barely has that many mineral patches to mine from. Zerglings on their way back. +1 melee attack about to complete. Something else to add on to things. +2 melee is the big break point that... Down goes another Archon. MaxPax trying to expand forward. Not gonna happen. Handful of Templar. Assume you can fit 4 Templar in your hand. Storms start off the attack, but the corrosive biles looking to end it. No shield battery overcharge yet. Another round of Ravagers on the doorstep. On his front porch right now, the Ravagers are morphing. The corrosive biles, a volley thrown up and lands on the pylon. He doesn't reshield. Oh, he's reshielded the pylon. It's a bit of a graphical bug. The Zealots and Zerglings. Ooh, another round of Zealots cut off by Banelings. It's unclear who's flanking who in that Legacy of the Void trailer style engagement. But +3, +1. MaxPax only net. The upgrades are only going to start to get better for Solo. As MaxPax has maxed out, and now he must pax his way. Find a verb. Roaches and Lings. The Archons on the back. Stalkers blink before. Suddenly they're in front. The gateways are forming a choke point still. And Solar, I think he's done it. GGG. Solar takes the game. The unending swarm of Zerg. So many times MaxPax looked like he was on the brink of turning it around, but Solar shoved him back under. Well, that was certainly a Zerg game right there. Solar waiting until about 10 minutes in to even think about an Evo chamber. About 12 minutes in to get any upgrades. A repeated Dark would be proud. Or maybe upset about copyright infringement with that sort of night of all in. Maybe both. Proud of his own build used by Solar. But Solar takes a hard-fought, yet decisive game 1. That brings us to altitude. The stakes are raised, as is the score, mostly. And the likes and subscribes. Right, Jimmy? I'm not sure. MaxPax continually thought that Solar would macro it out. Like, oh, he's totally building. Like, it's not going to be all in again. He's not just going to keep building roaches. Maybe there'll be mutas or something at some point. And the amount of damage he was able to get done, despite seeing the Nidus. Well, MaxPax didn't really respect it. Okay, he thought he could do a bare bones, throw a cannon here and there defense. But Solar just kind of like a steamroller with those queens. Doesn't move quick, but if you can't get out of the way in Protoss next side, don't move very fast. Well, what do we see now from MaxPax? The first tech looks like a Stargate. No reason. Honestly, Stargate still all reliable. I don't think the Stargate was the issue with that previous match. Now, MaxPax, not only didn't he send a probe out to block, he didn't send a probe out to scout at all. It's a very Terran-esque style here. He does have, unlike on Gresvin, so big difference, especially in Protoss versus Zerg, is having a ramp to your natural. The ability to potentially block off the ramp at a moment's notice. Not near. It makes it a lot easier to deal with Ravagers, Zergling all-ins, not having that ramp like we saw on Gresvin. Other maps include Royal Blood and Neo Humanity that don't have the ramp to the net. I might be missing one, but that makes it a lot easier. You don't need high ground vision for the Ravagers. You're not liable to get choked up trying to come up the ramp at all. So that is a big part of why that was so successful on Gresvin. And possibly why MaxPax feels comfortable enough to not even scout in the early game, though I would still argue that is a bit of a gamble. Oracle lights up and drives the Zerglings away so the Stalker can continue to menace the Overlord, which will pop like an overripe tomato full of helium. I don't know. I'm not a tomato expert. Not even a tomato expert. More of a potato myself. Second Oracle. How many in total? Just 2. Oh, the third joins the production tab. Evolution Chamber is spotted. Timing very importantly. Second Oracle tries to come in. Catch the queens out of position. Another one comes in from the other side. The old bait and switch. About as literal as it could be. Gets 4 drones in total between the efforts of the Oracles. +1 melee is the choice. For Solar, MaxPax lays down the Twilight, the Forge, 2 more gates. Very likely to be Blink and +1 again, especially considering he already has 2 gases at the natural, which gives him, if you're going to go for some sort of charge all-in, if you're going to follow it up with a big timing play, rarely are you getting those gases. I guess there's some scenarios where you go for like Archons and stuff like that, but he got them quite early in the grand scheme of things. He's got 530 gas right now, which is a bit much. Templar. There's Blink and +1 though. One of the Oracles badly bruised. A few Adepts making their way up. And shading into the third. 5 drones already at the net. Solar really suffering. Even last game though, his drone count was not great. It was just he was willing to use what he had to put a bunch of units on the field. Well, Oracle driven back for now. Baneling Nest on the way. +1 melee, not too far. Oracle's 7 drones in total. 8, 9. It looks like he's poking and prodding at the natural for now. Our 4th base already for MaxPax. There is done. And I'm interested to see, because Solar himself, he has a lot of gas in the bank. Hydralisk Den is the choice. It wasn't going to be a Nidus, or it was very unlikely to be a Nidus this time around. With this late of a layer with +1 melee, you're better off with a more well-rounded composition. And taking those well-rounded compositions and rolling them into your opponent's mineral line with +2 melee attack. Banelings, of course. One-shot probes do a ton of damage against Zealots, almost negating them en masse in your army composition. It's a very tough composition to deal with as Protoss, assuming you can't severely limit the Zerg's economy. Something that MaxPax is looking... Well, the Zerglings are going to be trouble. The Oracles can cover the retreat, which is, as well as adding on some of the stasis wards there, in order to maybe trap enough of the army to pounce on the rest. The Zerglings just running. It's what they do. They love it. That's their whole thing. They even got their little fancy wings, more for dramatic effect. They can't actually fly, much like the queens. Both of them upset about it. So, did he see the stasis? Because he pulled back a moment before it. Just could have been... I don't think so. Oh, yeah, he's building an Overseer. I think it's a little obvious to Solar what MaxPax is trying to do. The bait let us in! Banelings doesn't work out for him. Another stasis. Manages to catch a lot of the Zerglings, but not enough, I think, that he can fight the Hydras outright. The covering stasis are good, but Hydraling is better. It doesn't take that many Hydras to go toe-to-toe. Metaphorically, the Hydras don't have toes. With the Stalkers. Don't worry. Max Stalkers have toes enough for the both of them. 4 legs. All right. No, you go back to Dronely fans. 24 Banelings on the way, +2 melee about to complete. Centrifugal hooks, nobody calls it that. Baneling speed, nearly done. And all of this is coming together for Solar. MaxPax has a lot on his plate right now. We'll see how he decides to serve it. The Baneling's rolling in before the upgrade, but I mean, it's a quantity situation. Hydras is zoning out the Stalkers. The Baneling's kind of hung out to dry here. 1-1 is done. Charge on the way. The Baneling trying to break through into the natural force field. Blocks the way. No Ravagers to break it. The Stalkers and a few charge lots. The Baneling's just trying to be useful here. And so far, unable to do so. Stasis creates a pretty nice choke point between the Lings and Banes. There's a Zealot counterattack. MaxPax, I think, is held. At least the initial wave of this attack. It looked like everything was coming together for Solar, but he wasn't able to break through. The Banelings kind of floundered around. And didn't end up finding anything meaningful. And in fact, very surprisingly, MaxPax keeps his 3rd as well. Which, considering Solar was just running essentially circles around it, is kind of a surprising outcome. And now we have Colossi on the field. Speaking of long legs, if anyone was, I just assume. But the Colossi, no extended thermal lance, but they still easily outrange Hydras. And, of course, Zerglings and Banelings. Now, they don't do the bonus damage against the Banelings. Banelings are not light units. They're just light on HP. Stop right there, criminal scum. Stasis Ward. Just in time to stop the Banes, leaving him in a bit of an awkward situation because now MaxPax, that's so many Banelings, he has to deal with it. So, he's got another Stasis just in case. Got an airlock system for the Banelings. And a bunch of the Hydralings. Oh, he just goes to the side. He tries to blink out in front. Meanwhile, another army catching some more. The Banelings are caught in a second stasis. The Colossi will dance back. Stasis is triggered by a single Zergling. 10 drone kills throughout this. The Zealots rampaging through the mineral mine simultaneously while this entire fight is going on. All right, stop, go. We got a turn-based baneling system here. The Hydraslings and Banes still coming in from all sides. Colossi hung out to dry by the Blink Stalkers, which cowardly blink behind. The Nexus itself could be targeted down. The Colossi are trying to hide in the corner here. Stasis triggers on a single Bane. The Nexus finally goes down, and that means nothing left to hide behind, but it doesn't matter. As just going back a few moments, Solar has lost a lot of... There was nothing to deal with the counterattack. The Colossi are still going. MaxPax has the upgrades. MaxPax holds. This time around, he reaches for the Robobay, and he pulls down the answer. Finally, MaxPax. It felt like he had a chance to bring it all together in the last game. Of course, Colossi wouldn't have worked as well. But good to see he's able to put the pieces together in a way that, you know, Solar, once again, relying on those timing attacks. And this time around, his time runs out. MaxPax puts a point on the board with a very technical defense. Very hard to pull that off with nearly as much efficiency as MaxPax did. But he's really one of, if not the best at it, so. All right. Jimmy, please. We're going to Game 3, Ancient Sister. MaxPax showing that he's not intimidated by Solar's silly timings. And Solar? I think it's on him now. He's shown, like, I think in both these games, it was Solar racing against the clock and the unit composition that MaxPax was building. MaxPax has completely transformed, I think with enough games against, or inspired by Showtime, but he's gone from such an aggressive all-in player, and I mean, he still can do that. He's gone to being possibly the most well-rounded Protoss in the world. The only person who's technically ranked above him is Hero, who, that's a roller coaster being a Hero fan. How could I say? He's like a strobe light, okay? Sometimes he lights up the game with his beautiful strategies and incredible play, and sometimes it's just dark. Stargate, 3 for 3, and however many games we end up with, I imagine it will probably be that many as well. The Oracles, the real MVPs there, despite all of the Robo Bay and the Blink Stalkers, the Stasis Wards, the back and forth bait and switch Oracles, the Revelations, just keeping tabs on the army. The Oracles do it all. The Swiss Army knife of Protoss. Terrans are going to want that back, but just gives you everything in the early game. MaxPax, yet again, did not block or did not get there quick enough to block the natural, but he did scout this time around. So maybe a bit suspicious of what Solar will do after that previous game. I mean, scouting, it's just scout, okay? Don't read too much into it. It's not... And this is a map without the ramp to the natural. I think the one I forgot is one. Don't worry, I choke so the players won't. That way we can maximize the good games. One thing the Protoss will never be vulnerable to is inhaling too much water, because of course the Protoss don't have mouths, they have roots as plants. Speaking of roots, spore crawlers on the way, digging into the creep or growing out of it. So I guess Zerg are kind of plants as well. This is an organic, nope, I don't have that joke there. Anyways, Oracle's coming in. We'll circle back. Wow. Slick Oracle micro, and then misses the turnaround, and now we'll lose one. Ugh. Having some real trouble there. Laying down the kills. Does not come together for him. So only 3 kills and loses an Oracle, badly bruised on another. Definitely not as successful as the previous match. Oracle comes in, covers for the Adept, but so far Solar has just slapped it all away. Behind this, MaxPax has been probing hard. And no, the most economical as opposed to inappropriate version of that. He's at 57 probes against just 50 drones. Which means he does have to hold the line here. The Stalker, they build the door behind him, which makes it that much... Well, the Zerglings will kill the Stalker, but it'll cost him. Stalker's life not in vain. MaxPax now 63 versus 51 workers. I'm not sure what Solar Plant... Like, he built so many Zerglings, but he can't really do anything with them. Couple more Adepts keeping tabs on things. He doesn't respect the Queens. 3 more drone kills. Zerglings are scrambling back. He does get the wall off. with the evolution chamber. But Solar, it's all about the larva. And the larva he's losing from having to rebuild all these drones is slowing down any sort of follow-up attack. He's got a Hydra den on the way. He's got 7 drones in production. Where is the Baneling speed? Well, you can afford it. I think he just hasn't started it yet. But +2 melee starts. But MaxPax is at 67 probes. He's got 7 gates done. Templar Archives on the way, and he's trying for his 4th. So, Solar trying to counteract the disadvantages with some intense greed. Whereas MaxPax is following this up with both flavors of splash damage. Robo Bay and Templar Archives, branching out in both directions. And I think correctly realizing that Solar doesn't quite have the ability to put on too much pressure right now. 1 sentry with all this. 1 sentry for Guardian Shield. 1 sentry to rule them all, because usually if you need more than 1, you're already in a troublesome situation. MaxPax is going for, even though it very much looks like he's teching, I mean, this is putting on some offense while he's covering for everything he's doing behind. The Archons are mostly unmatched on the field. A handful of Zealots here. Charge is done, +1 as well. Guardian Shield mostly covering the Archons. A Warp in to defend the 4th, though he did lose the shield battery and the cannon. A Warp Prism barely survives at the back, but there's nothing left to kill it. He's going to be able to warp in some more Zealots. And just 3 Zealots here are still going to cleave their way into Solar's mineral line. He's already lost 7 drones. The Archons are still alive. A Stasis, he's trying to drag the Queens into it. The Spore Crawler is too slow. The Stasis catches 3 Queens. Oh, no. Well, Solar getting run around and pulled apart, but he keeps enough together. How many Hydras? He's got a dozen Hydras, and he catches the Arc. Okay. The classic dying force field. The death rattle of the century. And MaxPax losing those Archons there. This goes from a great kind of zoning attack to a pretty costly one. As 3 Archons, and he's up to 80 probes. His army supply is tiny. 71 of 43. He's warping in what he can. At 80 probes, he should be able to warp in pretty much whatever he wants. But he doesn't quite have... He has 8 gates, getting a 2nd robo. But he doesn't have that level of production. So Solar, with a nice amount of drones, 69 will be enough to power the Hydraling Bane. It's not enough to continue teching up. Ah, yes, the awkward exchange between Zealots and Banelings. There is 1 more Stasis. Oh my god, that Stasis is huge, but the Banelings are rolling into the natural. +2 melee is done, but they're not able to close the distance with the probes. They turned around at the last moment. That was very dangerous. A couple more coming out of Stasis. Banelings rolling through. Shield battery overcharge. Gotta keep the Archons going. A dozen probes down. MaxPax now underneath Solar. What is going on? There was a Zealot counterattack. Solar just tapping these out. I gotta go to the Solar cam here. Baneling's coming in. Shield battery overcharge. He sees the +2. With Zealots. Again, deja vu. We've just been in this place before. Zealots in the base and Solar typing GG. MaxPax. Yeah, the moment he typed GG was up 40 supply. It happened so abruptly for us. But MaxPax just, again, maneuvering his way to a victory against Solar's half-hearted timing. Feels like Solar can't decide whether or not he's going all in. Like, I think MaxPax is making that decision difficult because he keeps coming in and getting a little bit more damage than Solar would be comfortable with. Obviously, no damage would be great, but as a Zerg, you learn to get cyberbullied, get punched in the face repeatedly, and then eventually you get back up and punch back harder. But in this case, MaxPax just keeps keeping him a little too busy to swing back in time. So, It is a dangerous game, but he's playing it successfully. And that puts MaxPax on match point. Will he send Solar paxing his bags? Or will we maximize the amount of games? I'm sorry. Bro, across the map, I think the running trend is on maps where maps with no ramp to the natural. Well, MaxPax's not going to take the risk of an early rope troll in Ravagers, but with that ramp to the natural, or maybe just on altitude. Honestly, there are only 7 maps. We know them pretty well by now. Bobby, please switch the maps. The only pool I don't want to change is the spawning pool. Bobby, please switch the maps. There's some beautiful maps. We showed you some. The Team Liquid map contest. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. Probe looking around. As it do. Overlord. Spotting both sides. Gonna get a pretty solid idea of the openers. And a solid idea that there's nothing to be particularly worried about out of the ordinary so far. And oh, lo and behold. Sounds way more dramatic if you say it like that. Lo and behold, MaxPax builds a Stargate. Yeah, here we go again. Though the games have been, I guess the last 2 were pretty similar, but quite a dynamic series so far. From the inexorable Nidus to the Hydra Ling Bane. Nope, that's it. That's only been 3 games, so my counting skills are not what they once were. Brenda, stay on the creep. You can't kill the adepts. I can dream, Susan. Adepts throwing shade. Oracle still pretty far out, but both the adepts will get away. Wow. A whole airlock system in the wall. I mean, when you don't have a door, you make do. Mostly with warpins. Closest thing. Oracle coming across. How many Zerglings? A dozen. Well, he built a dozen. Or 14 in total. He lost 3 so far. So pretty high number there. Though not enough to potentially pressure the third. Queens zoning out. Adepts shade into the natural. They'll jam themselves between the minerals, which is quite annoying, but no drones there to kill. Adepts will eventually be cleaned up. The Oracle driven away. Lights up for another drone. And just gonna burn through the larva, mostly out of spite. No, killing the larva. Oh my, it's a disaster. Okay, it's a minor disaster. It's still a disaster, but like on a smaller scale. So it's a kerfuffle. I really thought he was gonna get more drones, but then the Queen showed up dramatically, cinematically out of the southern part of the screen where they were creep spread. Well, again, Solar's going to be taking MaxPax just constantly poking and prodding, peeling away at the drone count. Each game getting a, what many Zergs would be a very uncomfortable and, honestly, though, the amount of drones he's losing is too high. If the last 2 games have been an indication, he's just losing a few too many. Losing double-digit drones to Adept Oracle is... really hamstrings your follow-up potential. You use so much larva on rebuilding the drones, your income's so low. I'm not counting him out yet, but this is what allowed MaxPax to tailor his response. If he knows that you're going lair, on a relatively low drone count. He knows your options are limited. It's not going to be an all-in immediately. And if it is, there's not going to be a follow-up to that. At least not easily. Now, of course, like in Game 1, just because MaxPax knows what it's going to be, or at least knows what the options are, doesn't mean it's not going to work. As there is an argument. Every player's made this mistake, thinking they've countered their opponent, but just not quite having enough. A dozen drones now. 2 adepts total are the losses. A third Oracle is patrolling. MaxPax taking a 4th. He's getting his robo. We got Blink and +1 on the way, as is customary. +1 armor. Just thought I'd throw that one out there. Just like MaxPax. Double forge, by the way. Changeling taken out. Oracles. Shields. Stripped away, but all still intact for now. Blink Stalker timing showing up. It's going to be roaches again for Solar. He's up to 72 drones, and he'd like to keep it that way. Especially as he takes this 4th. Transfuses. There's 5 roaches and 16 Zerglings. That's not that much. Backline Oracles. The leapfrog stasis. 14 more roaches on the way, but that's not enough roaches. MaxPax just showing up to the party uninvited. And soon, the only other attendee will just... Okay, well, he just wins. He just shows up and wins. Feels like every game since the first was MaxPax kind of zeroing in on Solar. And Solar just trying to keep him away. MaxPax with a decisive blink timing. Cleans it up. 3-1 will be your total. MaxPax, a comfortable victory after a tumultuous first game. He'll take it 3-1. An interesting series for sure, but Solar, not quite the variety we were looking for there to deal with MaxPax. What do you think? Pretty cut and dry, but fun series, in my opinion. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Congratulations, MaxPax. Jimmy, 1,098 likes to cast another series. Thank you for watching. Good luck. Have fun. I'll see you next time. See you soon.